In their starship, no doubt. They could have retaken the mines whenever they wanted to, but it never happened. And as strange as this may sound, I'd almost say they're afraid. I just don't know what they're afraid of. It's still the same bluster and bravado you would expect from them. But it has no teeth. Like they're afraid of what might happen.
Do you think it has something to do with the ion storm? Right now, it's stronger than ever, isn't it?
It's entirely possible. I'm not a scientist, but I do know the storm has knocked out all kinds of systems. So maybe Illidians weren't willing to risk their ships, given all the interference. Since the day of the revolt, Galvin has seized control of the mines and restricted all access. No one's allowed without his personal authorization. And they've taken over a section of the palace with just as much secrecy and security. I'm told it could be something they brought back from the mines. I made inquiries, but everyone pretends it doesn't exist. I strongly suspect they're hiding something.
What do you think it is?
I've heard rumors it's some sort of ancient artifact, but I haven't seen it myself.
How can we know?
I'd better see what's happening.
Do you think you can find out what they're hiding? I need to see proof of something before I can make my case to the Federation.
I can try, but even if I found it, I might not know what to make of it.
Take this. You can use it to capture whatever you find, and then send it to me.
Thank you. I will let you know what I find. And I look forward to our meeting again.
Sorry, I couldn't help but notice you were speaking with the Hotari this whole time. I figured in the interest of fairness, I should offer another perspective.
Of course.
I'm probably not telling you anything you don't already know, but these negotiations rely on the Federation's neutrality, as does any hope you might have for a supply of dilithium in the future. So, why you would choose to side with the Hotari escapes me. Without Illidian involvement, there is no dilithium trade. Clearly, you weren't aware.
We are and will remain completely neutral. Our only interest is the peaceful resolution to this conflict.
As is ours. Of course, the question is, at what price? Major Salit Arminta, Special Attaché, Illidian Armed Forces. Pleasure to meet you, Commander. I have my issues with the Hotari, but I have to give them some credit. They know how to seize an opportunity. Inciting an uprising the same day as a massive, once-in-a-lifetime ion storm.
Our assumption was that this storm was just an anomaly.
Yes, a very convenient anomaly. At least that was what we were told. Of course, I wasn't there. But who am I to say otherwise?
Something tells me there's more to the story. So what really happened?
Well, the official story is that it was the storm that enabled the revolt. How else do a bunch of unarmed, unorganized miners seize control of an entire moon, much less thousands of mines? But I've talked to people who were there. They tell a different story. They say they're lucky to have escaped with their lives. That it was more than just the storm. That somehow the miners were able to harness the energy from the storm. I know it sounds crazy. I'm not even sure I believe it myself. But that's what they said.
You just answered your own question. How do a group of miners do something that in theory can't be done? That's how. Harnessing the storm.
But even if it's true, how does that even happen?
You tell me.
If you'll excuse me, Commander Ryder.
They seem proud of their culture. Pride can lead to rash action.
Well, that was a disaster.
What happened?
The Hotari refused to concede anything, so the Elydians stormed out.
The Hotari did not invite us here as peacekeepers. I hope your efforts were more fruitful than ours.
Gravitational harmonics failing to resolve. Warp bubble stability degrading. Increase output to maximum.
Increasing warp output to maximum.
It's happening again.
It is evident that presently, the Resolute cannot achieve warp propulsion.
Since our diagnostics rule out any problems with our warp systems or anything about the ship, the problem appears to be the fabric of space itself.
Space itself? You're saying something about this region of space prevents warp travel?
Prevents it, or can't sustain it.
However improbable, that appears to be the case.
The storm didn't stop us from leaving space dock and traveling here. But could it still be causing this interference with warp travel?
We must follow sound investigatory principles. Do not let an assumed conclusion drive your analysis.
Sometimes we need a little inspired thinking, Mr. Chovak. Captain Solano is on his way back from the negotiations, and I want to have some answers for him when he gets here.
Indeed. Given the facts at hand, we may be able to deploy subspace probes around the ship to construct a clearer picture of the phenomenon.
Around the ship. I'll prep a shuttle.
Setting up a waypoint at a distance roughly corresponding to the edge of our warp field. When we get there, I'll deploy the first probe.
Commander Westbrook, the Resolute systems are calibrated to receive the probe's readings. We are standing by to reproduce the warp field collapse after the first probe is deployed.
Thank you, Mr. Chovak. We'll be in position shortly.
And, Mr. Diaz, do take care in piloting the shuttlecraft. Now is not the time to indulge in the human penchant for joyriding.
Chovak probably isn't such a fun guy to work for, huh?
I just don't take it personally. At least I try not to.
That's a very mature answer. Shows a positive attitude on your part. Remind me of it when I start complaining to you about the ship's new first officer. This is far enough. Transporting the first probe into position. Westbrook here. The first probe is deployed.
Understood. We are reading it. We are about to replay the simulation.
Problem?
I just can't get a handle on her. Commander Rydek. She rejected my plan to use a deflector pulse against the storm surge. But on the other, she did listen to my advice and use the whole polarity trick to get you through that excursion alive. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the new XO. I'm sure she's a fine officer, even if we don't see eye to eye. But she didn't go through what the rest of us did. You know that. And it's hard to figure out why she'd be the one Solano chose instead of, well, one of us.
I've heard some good things. You should at least give her a chance.
I'll take that under advisement.
Test is running. Warp field collapse in 3, 2, 1, mark.
Whoa. All right, that is definitely a problem with the fabric of space. We need to get another probe out there. With 2 points of data, the Resolute and the probe, we've managed to get an interference pattern. I'm setting a waypoint to a particularly strong area of interference. We'll deploy the second probe there. Listen, I'm gonna give you a piece of advice I wish someone had given me. Make sure you're never just one thing. And don't get so focused on what's in front of your face that you lose sight of the big picture. Before Rydek showed up, the captain pulled me into his ready room and told me he didn't think I had the people skills to be first officer. What a load of crap. I mean, if he'd said that about Chovak, sure.
Is that why you're being so friendly to me? Politics?
That would be clever, but I think you give me more credit than the captain does. You're all right, Diaz. And you've got potential. You're a capable engineer. You're good in the field. Keep up the good work, and who knows? A solid jack of all departments like you could be Commander-in-Chief of Starfleet one day. Hell, Admiral Jellicoe started as a shuttle pilot. And there are places to go in the enlisted ranks, too.
You know, I'd be the best leader Starfleet ever had. Lower decks always have to fix all the problems Command causes. Maybe I'd just save everybody some steps.
Well, don't forget about us little people when you're running things.
Of course not. You gotta remember where you came from.
Here. This is close enough. Stop the engines. Deploying the probe. Westbrook to Commander Chovak. We're ready for another sampling of data.
Very good. Running the simulation again. Warp field collapse in 3, 2, 1, mark.
There it is again.
I saw it. It seems to be directional.
Well, what about the scans? Anything?
Here's the readings in relation to our local space. We've got the Resolute, Otari Prime, and the probes.
All this interference is overloading the sensor buffers. We're gonna have to triangulate the sensors manually. We got something.
These markers indicate peaks in the gravimetric interference patterns.
Let's see if I can find some more. Hold up. This is coming from the moon.
A beam that blocks warp travel.
Aimed right at us.
Someone is doing this intentionally. I don't know how they're doing it. This is like nothing I've ever seen.
Why would they be doing this? We came here to help these people. And now we're getting hit by some warp-killing weapon?
Now, look here. Current readings of the ion storm.
These concentrations. They line up with the interference pattern. The storm and this beam, they're coming from the same place.
Carter, whatever petty local conflict brought us here, it's just a small part of something much bigger. Presently, we don't have an explanation for how they're doing this. One thing is clear. This is no fluke.
Thank you, Mr. Westbrook. I want a full briefing when I'm back on board. Solano out. A targeted weapon that inhibits warp travel. Coming from the moon Tau.
That would explain the difficulties my shuttle encountered. More importantly, the tenor of the Hotari during the negotiations.
And here I thought the Illidians would be the problem. Coming to peace talks in a warship. This wasn't supposed to be so complicated.
We're right to be worried. If they're targeting the Resolute and we can't go to warp, that effectively leaves us at their mercy.
Which puts us in a rather difficult position.
Especially if they have more tricks up their sleeve.
Tylus, the Hotari representative, said she thought they found something in the mines. Galvin and Sidron brought it back to the palace, but they're keeping it under tight security. She's going to investigate it. I gave her my tricorder. I expect she'll contact us soon.
You found an ally.
Why would Tylus help us? Go behind her people's back? It's a fair question, considering.
Out of all of them, she's the one who seemed to genuinely appreciate that the Federation was involved. She believes in us. And I think we can believe in her.
That may be true.
She's certainly more likely to help than the other Hotari we've met.
That raises another question. Specifically, what do the other Hotari have to gain in bringing us here, only to make this hostile maneuver against us? There must be some motivation.
Unless they changed their minds between when they asked and when we got here.
That's the thing. It doesn't make sense to bring us here. Tylus said that Galvin and Sidron have restricted access to the mines, even to the Hotari. So they don't want anybody to learn what they've found.
Then calling in the Federation is a funny way of going about it. I don't think the Illidians know what's really down on that moon either.
Major Armintas said the revolt defied explanation. That the Hotari miners somehow harness the energy of the storm.
Harness the energy of the storm?
Doing that is beyond even our capabilities.
So is a weapon that disrupts warp travel.
There have been civilizations and entities, both past and present, far more technologically advanced than the Federation.
The Illidians and Hotari don't fall into that category.
But that is all the more reason to investigate further.
Commander Rydek, sorry to interrupt. We've received an urgent call from Hotari. The Queen's advisor, Tylus, has asked to speak with you.
Put her through.
Galvin and Sidron are still with the Queen. I've enlisted help to gain access to the room they have under guard. I don't have much time.
I'm not supposed to leave my post.
It's only for a moment. I so appreciate your help.
I found something. I'm sending you a scan.
Got it. Tylus, if we needed to gain access to the mines on Tau, is that something you could help us with?
I suppose it wouldn't be easy, but I have to go.
Tylus.
Can we reconnect?
Sorry, Captain. We've lost all contact.
We can only hope she escaped without harm.
It was hard to tell.
We have to help her. Send another shuttle.
We're not
or maybe...
doing anything yet. Not until we know more. Let's see the scan of whatever the hell that was.
Tyler suspects this came from the mines on Tau.
It appears to be of ancient origin, but the markings are unfamiliar.
We can run a full analysis when we get back to the residence. But if this came from the mines, then it might be the key to how they got the upper hand against the Lydians.
Then we have to go into the mines.
The Federation would not allow that. We were, after all, sent here to be a neutral party in a peace negotiation. However, we could demonstrate that the Hotari have acted in bad faith, which would enable us to investigate the mines on Tau with full justification. But of course, we would need conclusive proof before taking action. Otherwise, it could put us in a difficult position.
If this warp disruption attack isn't enough justification, I don't know what is. We have every right to defend ourselves.
In due time.
I don't want to escalate this without a better idea of what we're getting into.
We may have a better understanding once we analyze the device. But a mission to the mines, covert or otherwise, is not out of the question. And I will handle the Federation.
As I was telling Carter, I want all the data I can get on this warp problem. And the negotiating team's shuttle has been recording data all the way back from Hotari. Even better than our probes. So pull the sensor and engine ISOs from the Melville when it sets down.
Will do.
I'll join you and Chovak down in engineering to run another analysis after the briefing.
I didn't like this warp problem when we thought it was some astronomical anomaly. And I like it a hell of a lot less now that we know someone is doing it to us. How does it work? What do we even do about it?
What do you say we pull these chips and find out?
Took some damage on the way. That ionic interference scored the hull plating. Might be some micro welds. Let's try pulling together.
All right.
3, 2, 1. It won't budge. Gotta be the storm damage. We need to... Welcome back. Any excitement down on the surface?
Excitement? No. Nothing like that.
Hey, can you hand me the EJ7 interlock? From the toolbox.
I don't know what that is.
Not much use for one on a security detail, huh? Carter?
Yeah, I'll get it.
Okay, I'll apply pressure while you decouple the panel.
Here, I'll help.
We've got this.
Open up and say ah.
Thanks for the hand. We have to get these isolinear chips down to engineering.
No problem. You really know everything about these ships, don't you? The tools, the systems. Like a walking Starfleet technical manual.
What can I say? I'm good at what I do.
I can see that.
Come on, start pulling chips.
What's this?
Some kind of crystal formation?
Whoa. This substance is a quantized spin crystallization of hydrogen, carbon, and lithium. It's emitting tetrametric pulses at an interval of 3.8422 seconds.
Quantized crystallization isn't natural. I mean, it's only theoretical as a means to engineer matter on a subatomic level. What's it doing in there?
Wait. Regulation 364, subsection 9.
What?
Regulation 364, subsection 9 orders that in the case of an unknown foreign substance infiltrating a sealed system, it will be placed in secure confinement before further examination. Retrieve a containment module.
Don't you think we're more equipped to deal with whatever this is?
No. Before anything else, this is a security issue. You don't even know what this is.
Which is why we need to study it.
Once it's contained.
Well, if it's not natural, then someone might have put it there. It could be a tracking device. Some kind of sabotage. Or even a bomb.
Which is why we need to get it to the containment lab.
Come on.
I can't make an exception. Not even for you.
I'm still going to report these crystals to Commander Westbrook when we send the shuttle data.
And I will inform my superiors. I'm taking this just as seriously as you are. But I overheard talk about the warp disruption on the shuttle. Now these crystals? Maybe this situation is more than we can handle with just a science vessel. We could trigger a distress call, get Starfleet to send more ships. Or I could send a message to my old CO on the Adirondack. Get some combat-tested vessels. We shouldn't do this alone.
That wouldn't be a bad idea. If you think you could do it without getting in trouble.
I'll find a way.
Be very careful.
Okay, stand back. Get this to the containment lab. We'll get it set up for you. I'll let you know when it's safely confined.
Oh, we'll be there.
Last thing you want is to study this down in main engineering and have it explode next to the warp core. Almost forgot.
Can't have that.
For a second, I thought she'd gone cold on you. Like she might have changed her mind. But I guess this whole situation has her spooked. Maybe she knows more than us? Or it's because this is all happening so fast? But she usually doesn't scare easy.
Yeah, there was something a little off about her.
Like that talk about sending a distress call? That was pretty out there. Although, you didn't seem to think so. She was probably just thinking out loud. I'm sure she'll come to her senses. This mission has enough complications stacking up.
Now, we'll get through it. You, me, and Miranda too.
Commander Rydek was able to work behind the scenes during the negotiations and made contact with a representative from the Hotari delegation named Tylis. She mentioned an unusual artifact of unknown origin being held under tight security within the Hotari Palace, which she believes came from the mines on Tau. Now, this artifact might have a connection to the revolt, to the storm, and to the warp disruption we now know has been targeted at the Resolute. Commander Rydek, if you want to take it from here.
Of course. Tylis managed to infiltrate the heavily guarded location within the palace and sent us these scans using my tricorder. It appears to be some sort of control panel, possibly connected to the warp disruption weapon, originating on Tau. Of particular interest is this symbol, which we couldn't identify the origin of.
The Federation database has records from a vast number of civilizations. If anyone from Starfleet has come across this before, the system should So...
The design and composition indicate this is a glyph associated...
civilization in the galaxy.
Is it possible the Hotari found Takan technology?
I wonder if they even know what they have.
1386.4. The USS Enterprise D, under the command of Captain Jean-Luc Picard, discovered a Takan outpost in the Delphi-Ardu system. According to the mission summary, an unbreakable energy-draining field was deployed against the Enterprise and a Ferengi ship. The Enterprise was only able to escape after negotiating their release with an entity known as Portal 6-3, Guardian of the Takan Empire.
Unbreakable energy draining field. It starts to make sense.
What else is there?
There's a lot here. Let's take it piece by piece.
Select the aspect you wish to learn more about.
Someone from the Takan Empire is actually still around.
Or at least was, 16 years ago.
Computer, what other information do you have on Portal 6-3, Guardian of the Takan Empire?
The entity known as Portal 6-3 is of an unknown nature. A biped humanoid, he was unaware that the Takan Empire no longer existed at the time of the encounter. He was able to control the crystal-based technology of the Takan outpost through apparent telepathic means. It was by his choice that the Enterprise was released from the energy draining field after Commander William T. Riker of the Away Team argued on behalf of both Starfleet and the Ferengi.
Telepathic control of their technology.
As I have said, they were the most advanced civilization in the galaxy.
What sort of planet is Delphi-Ardu 4?
Delphi-Ardu 4 is an M-class planet, a barren rocky world with little to no vegetation and frequent ion storms. The giant crystals that grow there absorb energy, but it is not understood how they do so. The entire Delphi-Ardu system, consisting of 11 planets, was considered completely uninhabited until the encounter with Portal 6-3.
Frequent ion storms. That can't just be a coincidence. There appears to be some sort of restriction order from Starfleet. Computer, explain this restriction.
A Starfleet directive similar to General Order 7 forbids entering the Delphi-Ardu system or attempting to make contact with Portal 6-3.
Starfleet doesn't throw up a no trespassing sign for just anybody.
I suppose it makes sense considering what happened to the Enterprise D.
The technology to capture and hold the Federation flagship would have to be unbelievably powerful. Computer, what else can you tell us about the energy-draining field the Takan used?
The Enterprise D was unable to break free on its own. The precise nature of the technology was never fully understood. Only that the crystalline technology used was beyond the comprehension of then-current Starfleet science.
The engineering team found a quantized spin crystal formation in the shuttle you took to Hotari. They registered tetrametric radiation coming from it.
We have Takan technology on board right now?
We might. I'll run a full analysis in the containment lab.
The Elydians should have crushed the revolt. But if the Hotari have Takan technology and can control it, I see why they're willing to negotiate peace. For all we know, this could be just the beginning. And we're up against something greater than we can imagine.
For now, it's probably best we don't let on how much we know.
Play our cards close to the vest. Smart. I agree. Then when the time is right, we can confront them.
Diplomatically, of course.
Right.
We've been able to triangulate the source of the ionic interference and warp disruption to a specific mine on Tau. Engineering used the latest data from your shuttle to pinpoint its origin. There.
So we know where to look.
We need to know what's down there. What the Hotari are hiding, to better understand what we're up against. And to neutralize it if we can.
Captain, embarking on a mission to the Hotari moon would not be viewed favorably by either side. However, given the circumstances, we are entirely within our rights to defend ourselves.
I just want to make sure this doesn't blow up in our faces. Which is why I'm thinking of sending Commander Rydek on a covert mission to Tau. assuming you're up to the task. It would require absolute secrecy. And obviously, it's not without risk.
I'm ready for action, Captain. Just say the word and I'll be there.
I'll admit, I wish I could go myself. I'm hoping Tylus can accompany you. The priority is to avoid detection. It's a calculated risk. The last thing we need is to get caught and then blamed for violating our neutrality and aggravating an already tense situation. We can't afford any mistakes, which is why I've chosen you.
It's a risk we have to take. We need to know what we're up against.
Agreed. And of course you'll have the full support of the Resolute throughout.
We must take every precaution.
Get in touch with Tylus and make the necessary arrangements as discreetly as possible.
Bridge to Captain Solano. The Illidians have moved additional ships to the edge of the Hotari system. Current heading is straight for the homeworld.
Understood.
It would seem we no longer have the luxury of waiting. In that case, may I suggest you and I return to Hotari Prime? Doing so will provide Commander Rydek as much time as possible to complete her mission.
Agreed. We'll hail the Queen's delegation from my ready room. We all know what we need to do. Dismissed.
Petty Officers Diaz and Edsolar, where is the crystal formation that you found in the shuttle? I have tasked Ensign Calloway with performing a full analysis of the tetrametric pulses.
Security brought it to the containment lab.
I was just there. They don't know anything about it. Security never checked it in.
Miranda never got there?
She's the one that had the crystal formation?
Yeah, her and the rest of the security detail from the negotiations.
Diaz, Tamaris. Carter Diaz to Miranda Maris.
Commander Westbrook to Petty Officer Miranda Maris. Respond.
Something's not right.
She's still on the ship. She has to be.
Computer, locate Petty Officer Miranda Maris.
Petty Officer Miranda Maris is in the isolinear storage array on Deck 5.
I'll go find her.
Good.
I am sure Mr. Diaz can attend to this on his own.
Someone improperly pulled these isolinear chips. Miranda, you in here? Hello?
you doing, Carter? You almost knocked me to the lower level. What's wrong with you?
What were you doing running from me?
I didn't know it was you. There's no reason for you to be in here.
Commander Westbrook said the crystal formation we found in the shuttle never made it to the containment lab.
I don't know why he'd say that. I brought them there myself. Whatever he told you, he got it wrong. All I know is where I left them.
If that's the case, let's both go down there and find them. It's that simple.
I don't have time for that. I have work to do. Now, if we're done here, I have to go. Do you mind? I'm in the middle of my shift.
Hold on a second. What's in that box you're carrying?
It's not the crystal formation, if that's what you mean.
No, it's a data storage drive.
It's for secure data. It's really not my place to talk about it.
I want a straight answer, Miranda. What are you doing here?
Carter, if things are gonna work out between us, I'm gonna need you to trust me a little more than this. Because this is not a good start to a relationship. And I don't get why you're acting this way.
I'm just worried about you. This isn't like you.
You're sweet to worry. But I can take care of myself.
Edsalar de Diaz. What's the holdup?
Don't answer that. You and I can work this out. Please.
You are seriously out of line, Miranda. First you tried to run, now this?
I'm not going to stand here and debate you.
Edsalar de Diaz. Are you okay? So I see you found each other.
You were taking so long, the commander sent us to see what the problem was. Diaz, you were sent here with specific orders, and fighting your crewmate wasn't one of them. What the hell is going on here?
Let's just let them explain.
I'd like to hear that, because I know what it looks like.
She attacked me.
That's ridiculous.
And tried to get away with this. She was copying data onto it. I must have interrupted her when I came in.
This drive is unauthorized.
There are ISOs all over the floor.
And that's why I was in here, investigating this situation. And when Carter came looking for me, we got our wires crossed. It wasn't anything more than that.
Look, I wish I was wrong about this. That I was overreacting. More than anything. But I know what I saw. And it's not what she's saying.
I can't believe this.
I don't know what's going on here, but I think we need to call it into security. She can explain herself in the brig.
Hold on a minute. We don't need to put this on anyone's permanent record. Miranda, maybe you're feeling out of sorts and we should head to sickbay so the doc can check you out?
Yeah, I haven't felt right since I came back from Hotari. I think I should see the doctor.
You two know her? If you really think she's not well, we can take her to sickbay first. But what I know is this is a security breach, and we should treat it as such.
Please, just let me go see the doctor.
She did have a bumpy ride back on the shuttle. Come on, Carter.
Let's take her to sickbay. It's better than the brig, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
Fine. Get checked out by medical. You two go with her. I'll put this back together.